Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the World Tech Insider. I'm your host, Danni Grande, and today I'm happy to be joined by my co-host, Peter Warren, Joint Managing Director at Venura Group. Today, we're going to be talking through our 2025 predictions, and we're going to be giving ourselves a bit of a mid-year assessment to see how we've been going. Hey, Pete, how you doing?
Hey, Danny. More to the point, how are you? You've been under the weather.
I have been so under the weather. I think I've turned a corner.
You look back to yourself again.
I've got some colour in my face. I'm eating. Yes, I've been terribly unwell. But
Winter's definitely had a sting in the tail for a lot of people. Lots of flus going around. You had flu A or flu B? Which one did you have?
I had influenza A, and I do not recommend getting that
It's
to
the
any
worst
of our
one.
listeners.
I was reading about, we're trying to work out A or B, and A is definitely the one you don't want to get.
Yeah, 100%. Man, it's bad. I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person too. So anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're too healthy. There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Do lots more air travel like me, and
that's my excuse. Alrighty, so today we actually did a recording of this, a live recording of our 2025 predictions at the IRS Wealth Tech Summit, which was awesome. Unfortunately, the audio didn't come out very well on that. So whilst we have published that, we've decided to do it again so that we can get a better quality out there with respect to the audio. So thank you for bearing with us on that one. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk through the prediction. So I'll talk through what the prediction was, and then we're going to have a chat and see how we're going. We might give ourselves a tick, cross, or otherwise. What do you reckon?
sounds like a plan. Now, I know it is September. We're recording this in September, so everyone knows for clarity, but we will do our best to make this as mid-year as humanly possible. I don't think a lot's happened since we recorded this first time, but, as we always say, predictions are worthless. Predicting is invaluable. So let's...
Is that a Peter Warren quote?
I don't think so. I think I stole it. Like most things, Danny, I stole that off someone. So
should just take it. All right. So prediction number one. Advice Tech feels the squeeze and stays in neutral. So what we're saying here is advisor numbers look settled at 15,000 for the foreseeable future. We expect margin squeeze to take full effect across the technology value chain. Those offering maturing products and services with revenue models tied to advisor numbers face three systemic challenges: system growth of 0%, rising compute costs, especially with AI, and emerging nimble competitors with lower fixed expense bases. What are we saying here, Pete?
Well, I mean, clearly, Danny, advisor numbers haven't really moved. In fact, I think they've continued to shrink somewhat. Unfortunately, I think the reality is the thing we talk about is just what is the addressable market for software spend in Australia for financial advisors, and we estimate it to be about $200 million. We're doing our small part to grow the pie in terms of encouraging businesses to spend more on technology and those elements. But the numbers are the numbers, and there's our TAM there, $220 million, and we still find that there's a huge amount of challenges for these companies because, in certain respects, everyone wants cheaper software. We're still hearing this, right? Everyone wants cheap software, but they want better software, and the two things just don't align. And you've seen in our daily lives, right? Well, we expected, I think we all got used to $7 Netflix, and now Netflix is nearly $35, and everyone's kind of going, why? And it's, well, did you think they were going to keep making these amazing TV shows for free?
Yeah.
So I think we're just still caught in this bind. I don't think it's going to change. And so the only thing that's probably I haven't sort of explored more, and I think I'd like to, is just, I think it's inevitable a lot of their software companies are going to have to try and find new monetization models, which aren't hinged to advisor numbers necessarily.
Yeah, a bit more of a passive kind of a...
Well, I don't know whether it's anchored to client numbers, or I know others have tried with mixed success, or usage-based models like we see with AI products at the moment. But I feel like if the advisor numbers are, let's say, set at 15,000 for the next 10 years, which I reckon they are personally, because we've still got a lot of people retiring and not many coming in, then it's inevitable either software is going to get a lot more expensive, or we're going to have to find new ways of charging for it. Or option C is other providers start to give away software for free because they're making money from other parts of the value chain.
That's interesting, actually, because we find this all the time with advisors having the high expectations of advice tech. And to your point, it really does make sense. Every day is on our phones, and our phones are amazing. We can do so much in our phones, but when it comes to advice tech, um, we're still probably, it's not overly exciting or sexy or innovative or anything like that. But yet those expectations are still there, and we have these conversations with our clients a lot about thinking about your technology spend more as a investment in your team and your value proposition and all that sort of stuff, rather than a pure operational expenditure. I know it's an operational expenditure. I get that it's very expensive, but do we need to shift our thinking a little bit here?
I think so. I think smaller businesses are already. I know a lot of businesses that have got effectively hiring freezes on in certain key functions. Let's call them back office functions, and businesses that maybe potentially wouldn't have thought twice about spending $30,000 or $40,000 on someone on an offshore role are now saying, well, if we spend $30,000, $40,000 on technology, would we get a better long term ROI on that potentially? It's horses for courses on that one. I think there's merits to having people versus software in a business, but it's fair to say as that evolves, I wouldn't be surprised to see that become a bit more of a front and center decision that we get asked in our consulting business is, do I hire this person or do I invest in this technology?
Yeah.
I think that's the choice.
And also you're right too, it's technology and software is only going to get more and more expensive, particularly with AI, right? Because I think the expectation now is that AI is just going to be embedded into our technology, because we're seeing that in things like Canva and HubSpot and, like all those more sort of global CRMs, which is awesome. We use it all the time and think it's great. Is that expectation going to be there with our, our end-to-end advice providers that we have here? Because if that is the expectation, that's really expensive to build and develop, and takes a long time, as we know. We're going down this road, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean our software development team, the advice designer business, like they're doing some experimentation with AI at the moment, and there's some really interesting use cases there that look really exciting to me, but we ultimately have to partner with Amazon to build all the AI we want to build, because it's got to be done safe and secure in enterprise. And I can tell you, they are not going to be cheap features to run, particularly we have to assume that everybody uses it. So we've basically got to assume there's thousands of people hitting that little AI magic button every day. What's that going to cost from an API call perspective? And there's different ways of making it more efficient, and there's lots of interesting things that you can do to sort of improve that. But I would say for certainly the larger software players, like Iris is a good example, I can understand why they've got to think really carefully about how much AI they expose their users, because it could completely blow up their margins potentially.
Interesting. Okay. So we're going to give ourselves a tick for that one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Platform monogamy. You had a few people slide into your DMs on this one, and not in a good way.
Not the good slide into the DMs. God. Oh, look, I think, I did. We came out with this prediction, late last year, and it caught the press's attention. I think obviously anything to do with platforms, people always get really interested. And, it was really based on empirical evidence and trend that we're seeing platform usage shrink, Danni, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just read this. I'll just give a brief summary of this prediction. So we said the era of platform promiscuity is drawing to a close, driven by both economic necessity and operational pragmatism. Multiple platform usage is driven by legacy, managing best interest duty, and diversifying operational risk. As BID is reviewed under Tranche 2 of DBFO, we expect advisors will drift towards a single platform. I can definitely say that we are having these conversations. Platform decision making isn't our jam in consulting. We don't help people, decide on the platforms that they should be using. But it really is coming up in the conversation lately, because it just does come with a whole bunch of inefficiencies if you are using multiple platforms, right? That's multiple ways of dealing with your product providers, which means you have to train your team in multiple ways of doing things, and different application forms and all the rest of it. So, and not to mention the double handling that goes into that. One person changes an address, and you have to change that across your advice CRM, and then, five platform providers plus a bunch of other people. That's a long process just to do a very small and simple job, right?
Yeah, and we sort of lost the argument a long time ago with ASIC as an industry that platforms are not a product. I've always felt they're a technology service or an admin service at their heart, rather than a financial product. But anyway, let's not argue that. Can't solve that today. But for me, they're ultimately it's a technology service that benefits the client. I'd say 20 to 30% of the features benefit the client, and the remaining 70 to 80 benefit the advisor or the advice firm in terms of efficiency. And look, that's just always how things have been in our industry. The client always pays. But I feel that more and more businesses are waking up to two things. One is, if we're using 7 platforms actively, our data feed issues, our reconciliation, preparing for annual reviews just gets too hard. That's the first thing. I think there was a view that, we need to use different platforms for client and partner because it shows we're not biased or we're not putting our eggs in one basket. Well, is really putting half your money with Net Wealth and half with Hub24, is that really diversification? Maybe. I don't know. I think as these big platforms continue to grow, I don't see that as big an issue. And let's face it, the fee side of it's just so bloody competitive. The platforms, rate cards, they move them around all the time. You don't necessarily know that the fee you're paying today is the fee you'll be paying in 2 years' time for the client. And once you put them in there, they're pretty hard to move. So I sort of, I feel there's a whole bunch of reasons why businesses are probably less constrained with that whole best interest duty responsibility. And I think there's going to be more scrutiny on managed accounts and that sort of stuff now moving forward anyway, that platforms don't seem to be the problem. So, and all we would generally offer is that don't want to be moving platforms very often. It's like changing dealer groups or anything else. And so we would say that probably focus less on today's price and more on tomorrow's future, the sustainability and the strategy of the business. And you can't ignore what Hub24 and Net Wealth have been doing. They've been investing in technology add-ons and services that are going to benefit their advice firms. And we feel that the more you are with one or two of those platforms, probably the more you're going to benefit from those services in the future. Just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So, and lo and behold, the data says that this is the way it's going. So Net Wealth's investment trends research, which came out in July this year, late July, said that average platform usage has now dropped to 2. So I think it was about 2.8 when we released our predictions. So it is dropping. And so effectively 71% of new client flows are going to the advisor's primary platform. So not only is the platform usage dropped, but more share of wallets going to that primary platform. So this is happening, absolutely. And, I think it's going to continue.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And our insights, our technology benchmarking insights tell us, we've got a question that says, are you looking to consolidate the amount of product providers you utilize? We've got 38% saying yes, and we've got 13% saying no, but we've got 50% saying they're thinking about it. So, when you talk about Hub24 and Net Wealth and the work that they do, they are really supportive of advice firms. They've got some great practical material that they provide to their advisors. And I'm fascinated to see how this one goes, but I think we definitely give ourselves a tick for that one.
Yeah, I think the real battle is absolutely what remains to be seen is will advisors start actively moving money from those legacy platforms, or what, everyone has different definitions of legacy, but will they actively start consolidating, or is this just new money coming through? And, you can't help but notice that some of the specialty platform businesses are dramatically scaling their distribution teams at the moment, which tells me that if they weren't at war already, they really are going to be moving forward.
Going for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, industry super forced to bring tech advice and operations in-house. 2025 marks the year when industry funds stop merrily dabbling in technology and make decisive moves toward insourcing. Regulators have made it clear to trustees that they cannot outsource responsibility for member services. Scrutiny of the woeful member claims experience of CBUS is just the start. Super funds will be under intense pressure to modernise their technology infrastructure and member services, including advice. The perfect storm of poor procurement practices and relentless fee squeezing has made superannuation administration a horrible business to be in. Got some bad examples. Good.
Sure is.
/ bad examples here, haven't we?
So here's today's numbers. So trip down memory lane. So 10,000, the first number, was the number of claims that took longer than 90 days for CBUS to pay, so insurance claims. And I actually knew some people personally impacted by that. bad enough you lose a relative, a loved one, in the first place. Even worse when you can't actually get the money. And there were stories of people missing mortgage payments and all sorts of horrible things happening on the back of that. Thanks very much.
Just to repeat that stat, 10,000 claims took longer than 90 days.
This one's worse though. 6,000 took longer than 12 months. Like, how does that happen? Anyway, so sorry, but let's not drag over that. But the smoking guns are there now, and certainly the regulators said that's not good enough, and the funds themselves admitted that's not good enough. They probably made the fatal error of almost trying to shift the blame to their administrators, and that's a bit like, me blaming this podcast software because I can't set something up properly. It's like, yeah, it's probably you. But anyway, but ultimately in a business, the leadership to take responsibility for everything that happens. And I think that's what trustees are paid for, to stop this sort of stuff from happening. So let's probably leave it at that. It wasn't just them. ART had nearly 100,000 pension payments delayed by 48 hours. I mean, I remember my days in platform distribution. If a pension payments were ever missed, it was just Armageddon for advisors and their clients. It's pretty much, it's like missing someone's paycheck, missing their salary run. It has real flow-on implications for people. And the thing that, we might have spoken about this before, but the thing that really worries me about this is that we are building a superannuation retirement system which is effectively dependent on these organisations, institutions paying these pensions. If we have more and more Australians who are not being paid the age pension, their primary source of income is going to be paid by either Australian Super or ART in this particular example. We have to get this right. The trouble is this is a share price of the Link, how Link's business performs. It's a terrible business to be in. Link was sold for, effectively running a monopoly and sold for nothing. Iress says here their business is under review. Iress sold their superannuation business. And look how fucking it went backwards. It used to make $8 million a year. Now it made a loss in 2023. It was losing money. So it's a shitty business to be in. And so I just can't help but think that, super funds were just so obsessed about lowering admin fees. And they were so happy about they were okay to sort of run not for profit and sort of make money on the investment side of things. They forgot about the admin. And, retail funds worked this out a long time ago that its investment performance is expected, but good admin is kind of mandatory for advisors and clients. There's no negotiation on that. So I think they're learning now. The trouble is, how long is it going to take to sort of insource? I know Australian Super are insourcing all of their admin. They're going to take as much as they can off Link, or now MFG, I think it is. But, that's not an easy setup to just set up an admin business that's got 4 million members. And so this has got more to run. And I'm not sure you can catch up on decades of underinvestment on this space. And a lot of them do ask, well, gee, why is Hub24 getting why is Hub24 number 2 in Australia for superannuation discretionary flows now, including SG contribution? It's like, well, because advisors are recommending it because of service. Same as all the others, greater service. And so I just wouldn't be surprised. I just don't know how they catch up. I don't know how they compete with that personally.
This is interesting too, right? Because industry super funds have always hung their hat on cheaper fees. So what happens now if they do insource and bring things back internally and invest in those admin systems and fix it all? Surely that translates to higher fees, which then kind of, puts a bit of a line in that one, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think they've created this mess for themselves personally. I think the outsourcing created this mess. They did it because it was convenient. I think they underestimated how important service is going to be in the long run. And you give Australians the example of bank fees. Let's just give you 2 scenarios. You can pay $10 a month to a bank and have your ATM work 100% of the time. Your online banking's up 99.9% of the time. Everything goes through perfectly and you get great data and everything. Or we can give you a bank account for half the price, but our ATMs will go down generally 5, 6, 7 times a year. Our online banking systems won't work probably when you need them the most. We just have no guarantees around that. I think that's where we're at. So there's no quick answers on this, but I suspect that that this is going, and the other challenge for the industry super funds is that, and they've been forced to merge. A lot of them is that this forced merger thing has put a lot of the focus in these businesses on merging together and sorting this out, not necessarily investing in the future. And so you've got a perfect storm here of admin issues. And I think this has just really just emboldened and empowered the financial advisors to sort of recommend people don't use industry super funds for these reasons, even if they are cheaper, because they just can't guarantee the service is going to be there when they need it.
Do you reckon digital advice is going to take a step back here? Because again, this was always, the road forward and quite a focus for these funds.
Well, it's logical, right? You can't do everything. I don't think they had the bandwidth personally. Some do. So funds that have already announced they're moving into digital advice. So Host are there. UniSuper go live this month, I think. But these are funds that are really well run and have invested in admin and all these things for a long time, even if they're slightly more expensive. But I think the funds that are square in the firing line, the regulator, are going to really struggle to stand up digital advice operations at the same time as doing all this stuff. Because the sheer reality is too is that, as you know, Danny, you can't run a good advice business if you don't have good quality data and good administration with your service providers. It's sort of that bit has to come first. So, wouldn't it be interesting if some of these, super fund advisors have to start recommending retail products?
Yeah.
It's a dangerous idea for you. Who'd have thunk it? Well, it's sort of expected it goes the other way, right? It's expected that the IFAs recommend not-for-profit funds as part of these referral arrangements. Well, I mean, pound for pound,
it goes the other way.
I think so. Anyway.
All right. I think we got a tick on that one too. 100% so far. All right. Number 4, private equity ownership reshapes advice tech. The private equity narrative in wealth management is entering a new chapter, shifting focus from acquisitions to integration and corporatization. PE knows that top-line revenue growth in professional services has limitations. A more controllable element is managing non-revenue generating people costs. A strong investment thesis exists to build highly scalable and efficient advice infrastructure. How are we doing on this one?
Well, look, the PE firms, the PE wave is alive and well in our industry. And the thematics are there. We saw Oaktree take out a big stake in AZNGA. There's rumours they're going to buy some even bigger businesses now in the market, which is really interesting. Merchants in the market, Focus have reaffirmed their commitment to Australia. And we've also seen a bunch of other emerging private equity consolidation models in Australia, both from licensees, but also from sort of more boutique players. So this is happening absolutely. I would say, I mean, obviously it proves the case that, there's more money in the advice than the licensing. So that's just, everyone kind of knows that part of it. I think what we yet to still see though, is that how is this going to manifest in technology spend and behavior? So we do work with some of these businesses that are investing in Australian, advice firms, and they probably call out a couple of observations. One is they're surprised by how little organic growth these companies have. So they tend not to have the advice firms. They're often looking for, do you have a strong codified model for lead acquisition and, organic growth? And so they look at their CRMs and their lead management and their processes. And we know the US does this really, really well. They're always in sales mode over there, trying to win new clients. And for here, I think because a lot of businesses have grown from acquisition, a lot of advice firms, they maybe don't have the same infrastructure and processes in place to grow that way. That's probably the first observation. And it does tie into the tech. The tech tends to be very advice, jobs to be done specific, compliance specific. But when they ask to see, oh, gee, well, what's your market, what's your lead nurturing strategy, what's your marketing automation, those sort of things, we're a bit thin on the ground for that, right? We don't, I mean, Danny, you've seen the difference between businesses that are investing in like in a HubSpot to do their marketing versus just, very old basic sort of fundamental producing SOAs. And it's totally different, right?
Yeah. And it rarely actually comes into our conversation. If we talk about, technology accommodating lead generation, pipeline reporting, and all that sort of stuff, I reckon 9 firms out of 10 of ours would say, no, we're not interested in that. We have very few of our clients that actually want to capture that sort of information. And you're right, it's all about the compliance side of running the advice journey.
I think the thing that the headlines don't talk about is that there's a big assumption that, there's a headline, we're just showing a couple of news articles here, hundreds of millions of dollars are going to be invested into these businesses. Well, the hundreds of millions of dollars are there to fund acquisitions. They're not necessarily there to fund technology investment. So they're pretty clear that they're not expecting them to become technology development companies. They understand there's got to be tech investment and tech infrastructure. But still yet to see evidence that that's going to result in a meaningful shift in how tech changes. What it probably does mean, though, is they will be looking to absolutely use their scale to drive better commercial outcomes from various people in the ecosystem. I think that it impacts managed account providers, platforms, and advice tech companies. And so the game is probably going to be won by the businesses that can stitch together compelling offers for these PE firms around platform, advice tech, and investment proposition. That's my gut feel.
Yeah.
And for the advice tech providers, I think the thing to think about here is that whilst it's all well and good to go hand-to-hand combat for all these 2-3 advice firm practices out there in Australia, it takes a long time, right? We don't necessarily have those big, large bank distribution networks that we used to sell into that, for example, got Iris to where they were. And so maybe the next frontier is going to be who can stitch together really good deals with these aggregated advice consortiums in the future.
And by deals, you mean monetary deals?
Yeah, like long-term commercial partnerships, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's going to impact, as I said, platform, managed accounts, and the advice tech part of the ecosystem, 100%.
Yeah, because surely they're going to be looking for partners that can support, implementation of that advice tech into firms and all of those things that sit outside the actual licensing cost as well. That's going to be really important, isn't it, if they're going to do a tech reno?
I hope so, Danny. I hope for us. Yeah. But no, you're right. And I think they equally acknowledge, that they're buying businesses which are going concerns as well. They have momentum and have obligations to existing clients. So they've got to get a balance right between building for the future, renovating some of the challenges, but not disrupting the BAU. And so that's probably the flavour of the conversations we've been having with a few of these organisations, which is around, okay, how do we do that? How do we do it in a way that doesn't blow the business up?
Yeah. All right. Tick on that one, I think. This is a self-assessment, by the way. I'm just giving us a tick on everything right now.
Yeah, we're really keen. If anyone of these, we've got something really, really long, let us know.
Yeah.
As I said, I got a bit of feedback about the monogamous platform thing, but I'll be honest, that came actually, I think, from some corners of the industry who probably had a bit to lose by that prediction coming true.
Okay. All right. We'll forgive them. All right. Number 5, the gap widens for advice for IFA tech needs and services. The tension between independent financial advisors and their relationship with technology has reached a critical inflection point. The Neurotech health benchmarking shows that only 23% of firms are happy with their technology support they receive from their primary tech partner. Yet despite this, fewer than 20% of firms regularly review technology relationships, even though technology now ranks second only to talent as the most critical issue facing their business. The real question isn't whether this gap can be bridged, but whether the current technology delivery model for IFAs is fundamentally broken. That's so true. Our benchmarking data does show a bit of a contradiction, I think, there with that dissatisfaction in technology providers, but also we're not running due diligence on tech providers if we are looking to change. We're not doing deep dives. I don't have the stat here. Most advice practices don't understand what's in their tech stack, what's all of those technologies that sit in their tech stack. So what's going on here?
Oh, it is true. And, a lot of businesses we talk to, they run investment committees and they've got really structured processes of that. They have compliance committees. Very few have technology committees. And we're not big on a committee necessarily. It's just more that part of the business has a focus, that it has some structure around how it makes decisions. And it's not necessarily has to be top down. It's just so, I think the best technology committees are run by the as you say, Danny, the back office teams who are vocal and participate in those forums. So it's just that it gets some airtime in the business and it's not a reactive thing. That's the reality. And it's such a challenge, though, in small businesses. They've got so many things going on that the tech just often gets left to the side a bit. But I look at the growth in our consulting business, and it tells me that most businesses are definitely at the point of awareness that they need to think differently about the tech, that what's worked in the past isn't working moving forward. I think they're consciously incompetent. So what that means is they're aware of their limitations and then maybe they need a bit of outside help. So they are massive steps forward from where we've been probably in the last decade. But as I said, we're still at this whole juxtaposition of helping businesses understand that you can't say one thing and behave a totally different way and expect different outcomes.
Yeah. It's hard too, isn't it? Because, if we want to take a side of the technology providers, of course, implementation into a piece of software is important and hand-holding through that process is really important. But where does that sort of stop? Where's the line in the sand from, okay, we've implemented you now, we've done our bit, you guys now need to get in there and actively start learning and, doing training and all those sort of things. It's not, I don't think we should, this is not the technology provider's job to fully consult to you as well as provide you with the software.
Well, they'll never make money if they have to.
Yes.
That's the reality is. And
all the prices are going to go up.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest, I think it's good to have someone who's a bit arm's length to the tech doing those processes because they'll never be truly objective. But it doesn't matter what industry you're in or organization in the world. They rely on third-party companies to come in and help them implement things. So whether you're a large accounting firm or any sort of large organization, they'll say, yes, we're implementing Salesforce, and then they'll go and use Accenture or, one of these large Microsoft Dynamics, they'll get Barhead in or one of these sort of companies to help them implement. And so it is a part and parcel of the tech landscape, but for whatever reason, in Australia with advice tech, there's an expectation that the software developer themselves does a lot of the onboarding, heavy lifting, and the commercials just don't support that really. So I think the reality is that other than it's a fairly straightforward product that only does one or two key things and you can implement it pretty quickly yourself, expect that there's going to be cost implementing it. And the minute you're on CRM territory, the minute you're going to have to put your hand in your pocket or dedicate some real in-house resources to implement correctly.
Yeah, that's true. You can do one or the other, right? You can have a dedicated resource, and that's dedicated resource shouldn't be your client service manager who is responsible for a bunch of stuff in terms of delivering the client experience and keeping your firm compliant. Don't lump another project on top of them, which is potentially a little bit out of their depth or whatever, or not. They may not even have the time to actually dedicate to implementing that, and we know how long that takes. Obviously, we're consultants, so we get it. All right, so tick on that one too.
I think that one's never going to change, Danny.
Okay. We've got an A+ so far. All right.
Means we're not trying hard enough. We've got to get a bit more adventurous, maybe.
That's right. All right. So number 6, business opportunity of the year, AI services. We had to talk about AI, didn't we? The real AI opportunity in 2025 won't be building new tools, but in solving the thorny implementation and integration challenges. Sequoia Capital estimates the global software market to be worth $650 billion. Add in services and that market expands to $10 trillion. SaaS is being flipped to service as a software. Back office outsourcing quickly becomes a service delivered via software. Finura estimates that the average advice practice with 4 advisors and 10 staff will likely spend $100,000 on software today. If we turn that same advice firm into 7 advisors and 3 staff using the services software model, would they be open to paying $250,000 for AI services? You bet, is what we're saying.
I don't know. I'm asking the question. You tell me. Firstly, what AI, Danny, do we have today? We have pessimist, optimist, realist. Where are you at today? I'm
a realist, I think, with AI. I'm going to put myself in that bucket today.
Okay. Today.
Yeah. Full disclaimer, I could change my mind tomorrow.
For the listeners, Danni has a very schizophrenic relationship with AI, and we all do. We all do, and it probably depends on what's happened the day before with clients or people we've talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
But look, it probably ties into the pricing thing. So I'm increasingly coming to the view, having now gotten close to some of these AI development issues, that AI products, software, to truly validate and actually get commerciality, they're going to have to start charging differently to just monthly subscription fees. And I think we are heading towards a usage/value-based potential pricing model for some of these companies. And the really interesting thing would be for some of the, let's call them service providers who deliver their services via AI, if they're willing to do all the heavy work for you, all the heavy lifting, run all the AI. And I'll be honest, like if you are running AI systems in your company, it is like managing an employee, I think, personally, from having done a bit of it now. And I think there's a role to play for a company, someone to do that kind of work. I don't know who it is. Could be us, could be other people. There'll be lots of people that probably do this stuff. The question is, I don't think you're going to be able to charge the traditional way. I think it's going to be based on the value that creates. So let's say, for example, we provide a whole bunch of AI services or AI-enabled services to advice firms in the future. Let's say we develop, I don't know, something that solves the commission reconciliation problem once for all using AI. Okay. I'm not saying we're going to do that, by the way. It's probably the very bottom of the list of things I'd like to do, but a big pain point, and people pay a lot of money to providers to help with that. Well, there's one argument to say, well, if firms currently pay $5,000 a month for that, you should just do it as a $500 a month subscription. I think a more savvy provider is going to say, well, actually, that's still a really important, valuable job to be done. If I have a unique part of my service, which is both software and service, what I do, I'm going to charge as part of the value that creates, which could be just half the price. But it's off the table entirely, something the business has to worry about, and someone else runs all the infrastructure. That's kind of where we're heading to an extent with certain applications and certain business providers. I think some of the outsourced providers think like this. So we traditionally would have bought some labor, a person who does dedicated to your business. They might say, well, we'll invest in a whole bunch of AI-enabled services and you can subscribe to them.
Mm-hmm. All right. I've got a lot to say.
I can look at Danni going, yeah, Pete, I don't know, I'm not feeling this one.
I think the reality of it, and that we saw that MIT study that came out recently. We might just link it because it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Let me try and get this stat right. 95% of firms that have embarked on an AI project have seen a 5% return on their investment. Did I get that right?
Oh, close enough.
Something
95% met the expectations of the AI project ROI. So effectively, very few AI projects are truly delivering on what people expect. Now, that MIT report was on larger companies, I believe, which were obviously got all the money to spend on this stuff and potentially the most to gain. But I'd say you could almost say that for any tech project for those large companies, not just AI. Like I think it's a weird one with AI. I sometimes feel like the smaller the company, the better the opportunity, because they can implement so much faster if they want to.
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like especially in financial services, and I'm kind of this is what I'm struggling with. The use cases for AI are pretty boring, right? So obviously file notes is an absolute no-brainer. It's a time sucker, and AI can really reduce that inefficiency pretty simply, right? You can use an agent, get it to do the job for you, and you've got a good efficiency. You can then probably use agents to help you with reviews. Like if we're sort of looking broadly at these jobs to be done, bit of strategy work for the advisors, that sort of thing. Outside of that, I feel like the use cases for our industry are reasonably boring, but quite impactful. And to your point, revenue management, that would be bloody awesome, right? You could do something with AI around revenue management, consolidating all of that data.
I think so.
So I think this is it, right? We were so excited about AI when it first came in, and all these, we're going to replace everyone with AI, and it was going to be great. But the reality of it is there's all these other jobs I think we need to sort of, attack first, and all of these other inefficiencies we need to address before we kind of really understand where this is going to fit. And I just think in financial planning firms, it's pretty boring at the moment.
Mm.
But the exciting thing about it is that if you do attack those boring inefficiencies, then you can do some really cool stuff at the front end with your clients. You can really start to reach more consumers and do the intergenerational wealth transfer and all that sort of stuff. I think that's where the excitement is, and maybe that's where we can sort of start to think about AI a little bit differently at that front end. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the reality is we've seen. I've got a slide up here, just all the different AI file noting tools and different things in the different markets, and there's a whole heap of ton on there. So if your product's not in here, don't get offended. It's just the ones that have claimed to be using some sort of AI, but 75 to 85% of them are directed at file noting and a bit of workflow and generate ROAs and simple documents, and that's all fine. I mean, and the interesting thing for me is those use cases can be built pretty much anywhere now. Like you can build that inside of Microsoft Teams. You can use some low-code apps now to do that. Zapier can do a lot of these things now. Zapier's got AI built in there. It's just that these products offer a nice prepackaged solution that you can just plug into straight away, get up and going, and that's great. I think, and even if you look at a lot of the investment in Silicon Valley, the things are actually getting a lot of traction. A lot of the biggest funded like AI app providers are in this realm. They're in the file noting, transcription. So there's a Silicon Valley startup called Granola, which is basically an app. Actually, it's a really beautiful app. It just sits on your laptop or your iPhone, and it just records everything. So it doesn't record your screen, but it just listens to everything. It dials into meetings behind the scenes, a little bit creepy like that, but it can literally listen to everything. It doesn't record the meetings, it just transcribes. And you can set up all your templates and workflows and everything off the back of it. Nice and simple UI. And they've got a $250 million valuation and raise $40 million to scale their business. And it just does that. And the whole idea is you can go in there, you just upload the template you want, it'll build that out for you. And I think these things are going to just replace all the stuff that's on this slide today in the future. I think on-device transcription is going to become the norm. So once Apple get its shit together on AI, your iPhone will do this really, really well in the future. I looked at another startup that's been raised a heap of money, Plord, which is it's a little app. It's a pin that sits on your shirt and a little credit card size thing. It sticks to the back of your phone, records everything, does the same job.
How does that work? Sorry, how does that work from a privacy perspective?
Doesn't work, Danny.
Bit alarm bells going off, Pete.
Yeah, I know, but I'm convinced people are using this stuff. I don't, you can say whatever you like, but I just think people are using this stuff. So I just think at the end of the day, for me, I think for small businesses, why not just be happy that this amazing stuff that we didn't really have 3 or 4 years ago is here and is getting us hours and hours back. And let's just focus on what are we doing with those 20 hours a week we're saving, not writing, or 20 hours a month we're saving, not writing file notes now? What's happening to those hours right now?
Yeah. We're redirecting that. Yeah. I think you and I were talking about this the other day too. We're sort of, if we think about using AI at Finura, the business cases, for all of us at Finura, it's reasonably limited. Like you use AI for in a really specific way, and I use AI in a very specific way. I can't imagine not having AI anymore. It's just it's been so good for the stuff that I do. And may I say, mostly around taking notes in meetings and summarizing my 100%. Meetings, which is amazing. So yeah, I think you're right. Where do we redirect our time?
But I think what I think you're hinting at there maybe is the company-wide applications of AI, and we're not there yet at Finura. In fact, the only one we had for a while there, we had some Slack stuff which is our internal messaging system. I think we turned it off. We weren't using it. It wasn't helping us.
Yeah.
It was just making things worse. It made the product worse, actually. So we're yet to really adopt any true end-to-end AI features inside a business like ours. And I would say, yeah, you're right. 95% of everything we're doing with AI is very individual with Finura.
Yeah. All right. So are we ticking ourselves for that one?
I think we're not. I think I'd be honest. I think we underestimated the buzz and we overestimated the benefits.
Yes.
I think we were wrong. I think as negative as not negative, as realistic as we thought we were being, I think even we probably overshot what we thought AI could do in real world terms, but we completely underestimated the hype and the nonsense that we've seen in the last 12 months.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Number 7, marketing technology of the year, podcasts and YouTube. So while podcasts and YouTube hardly qualify as new technologies, 2025 will mark their emergence as the dominant channels for advisor marketing and client education. Finura has had the fortune of working with trailblazing firms that are leading the charge on these 2 rocket ships for content outreach, and the results are extraordinary. One firm we work with has reported over 70 leads on average per week from their podcast. Yeah, look, I think I have to agree here, given the fact that we have a podcast.
I mean, if we can do this,
that's
pretty
right.
much proves anyone can.
Anyone can. Come on, guys. You can do way better than us.
But I look at even my own personal media consumption now. I would listen to more podcasts than watch TV shows.
Yeah.
And the data suggests this is true. So I've got, for those who are watching at home, got a chart here which shows social media consumption versus streaming platforms. And now YouTube is the number 1 streaming company in the world. YouTube would be worth more than Netflix if it spun out from Google, as a company in its own right. It'd be, I think, a 60 or 70 or $600 billion company or something ridiculous like that. So it's just it's a juggernaut. Even the content on Spotify, the way marketing's happening on Spotify is really interesting now. It's getting so sophisticated. So one of our favorite potties, Danni, the rest is history. If I was a financial planning business in Australia right now and I wanted to target to pre retirees in that realm, I'd be advertising on the Rest is History podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Seriously.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great.
That's the demographic. It's such a good podcast. And now, because Spotify is so good at its user targeting, you can say, hey, I want to target 60-year-old married people in Melbourne and run the ad for those people, please. So they're really specific on that. I've noticed I've had Spotify's B2B salespeople targeting us now, Danni, saying we want to, not for us, no one wants to advertise on our podcast, but getting Finura to pay for advertising on tech podcasts and things like that, which is kind of interesting. So, and I think there's an element here where people are buying stuff off podcasts. It's a trusted place to get things. It's people buy stuff from YouTube recommendations, So I think if I was an advice business and I had aspirations of growing in the next 5 to 10 years, new clients, I think you're crazy to not have a podcast and you're crazy not to be on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. And think of all the educational content you can get out there. No more MailChimp newsletters, guys. You can just deliver it all on a podcast.
Oh, they're still good. I know someone that hacks away at a newsletter every week and nearly kills me. But I think the 3. I think there's 3 different methods and they require a bit of nuance. But there's but the thing I love about podcasts that are really important, I think, for podcasts and YouTube, I would say to the audience, is that AI in particular really leans into that sort of content source. So we actually had our first, did I tell you this? We've had our first couple of referrals or recommendations from AI to Finura. Did I tell you this last week?
No.
Yeah. So we had 2 leads come to us because of some advisors that sort of was using ChatGPT and was asking about some technology decisions, and it recommended as Finura as an example of a consultant that can help them with that, which I thought was super cool.
Oh, funny.
And we had a prospect for our Advice Designer product the other day say that they had typed in X-Plan Wizard support or something like that to Perplexity or ChatGPT, I can't remember which one, and it recommended Advice Designer as something which was an alternative to what they were considering. So I thought that's so cool. So there's a little bit of, I think we got to think differently than Google in the future.
Yeah. But obviously we're getting heaps of content out there at Finura, right? So that's obviously...
That's key.
That's key, yeah. And it's kind of cool doing podcasts. We got better at it. I actually enjoy it now. I don't think I always enjoyed it at the beginning because we had no idea what we were doing. But
if you ever want to be, I think I've said this, go back and listen to the first episode.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. Do not do that. We should take them down, actually. I think we might do that. All right, last one, number 8, business technology of the year, agentic AI. The most transformative technology in 2025 won't be a new CRM or digital advice. It will be AI agents functioning as virtual team members. AI developers such as Ataris are building AI agents to augment human routine processes. I won't read through all of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm You know me, I fully agree with this one. I'm doing a lot of work with AI agents at the moment, and just using Copilot, and
Yeah.
I'm finding them really great. I'm getting some really good outputs from them.
Danni demoed her Copilot file noting agent to me the other day that she's doing with some clients, and it's really simple, and I love it. It's really straightforward, and everyone can do this. It doesn't require another cost or subscription. It's safe. It's in your environment. It just requires a bit of config and a little bit of, get up and go to make it happen and start using it. So this is technology available to everyone. I think there's two aspects of agents that probably not as well understood, Danni, about these things, is that increasingly companies are having to build software that are AI agent friendly. So building software for both humans and AI agents to navigate. That is a new element. And if my kids were leaving uni at the moment, that's what I'd be telling them to become experts in. Because I think every software platform is going to have to be rebuilt in the future to make it AI agent friendly. And that's a really good skill to work on. So that side of it. And then there's probably this automation where we've had robotic process automation and machine learning for a long time. But the really great thing about an agent is just the ability to talk to something with normal human, non-technical language and get it to do a job for us that we want it to do. And so I think increasingly we will see chat style interfaces appearing in software to help us navigate that. And I think the best wide scale example of that's now with ChatGPT 5, which is now in Copilot. If you toggle the little GPT-5, and you'll notice that it's sort of suggesting other things. It tells you what it can do. It's say, would you like me to do this? It's trying to help you go the next stage. So rather than trying to build software that guides a user through a journey, we can actually build software. We can actually use this agentic AI to actually help the user get more out of the system, which I think is awesome for non-technical users.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. So not quite the agents on this screen here, which is people setting up AI agents for marketing and sales purposes. There's been a lot of that nonsense going on, Danni. A lot of people setting up. That's the one element I've seen a lot of research on, that AI sales agents are failing miserably. So the conversion rates on AI sales is not working well for whatever reason. So apparently it's okay for firing leads off and all those other things and contextualizing things, but the actual human engagement bits, it's failing. So and so I know there's a lot of AI agencies targeting advisors to develop sort of lead generation agents and those things. Keen on anyone's feedback if anyone has a go at it, but we're finding that's not working because humans are getting better and better at detecting what AI content is and not.
Yeah, don't you think that's happening too with AI? Like, you now know, like, we can all tell what's been AI generated, in a LinkedIn post or on Facebook or whatever. Photos and all those sort of things. I think we can just identify what's an AI generated piece of content now. I know we're getting a little bit kind of like, a bit icky about some of these things.
Some commonly used terms like "here's the kicker." You ever notice that? "Here's the kicker" always goes halfway in. I don't know who started that whole thing, but it's now become almost codified that it's an AI prompt. So please never use those words. "Here's the kicker." If you want people to that. But yeah, I just think there's a human instinct thing. And the awesome thing about it, all it's doing is putting a premium on good, high quality, real human generated content.
Human content. Yeah, it's so important. That's never going to go away, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
And a bit of homework for our listeners. I think we've ever really spoken about this on the pod, Danni, but this screenshot is from our favorite TV show, which is Silicon Valley from HBO, on HBO Max. It's an older show, but it's from the sort of one of the various tech booms, probably the cloud tech boom, I think it was. But there's a lot of AI references in here, pre-generative AI. But anyone who loves tech and loves politically incorrect commentary and satirical commentary, we highly recommend it.
Please go and watch it. It is so funny. It's now become, you just watch it from an AI perspective, from an AI lens, and all of the investment that these guys, all the money that these guys raise for not really much at all. All the AI bros.
This show was on just when the crypto thing started taking off. So there's definitely a bit of crypto talk in this show. But certainly it's mandatory viewing for anyone that works at Finura, and we probably pretty much that's our employee induction. Is
part of the induction process.
Sit at home for 2 weeks and watch this series. Tells you everything. But on a serious note, it actually tells you everything you need to know about tech and why perhaps we should all be a little cynical from time to time.
I'm watching it for the second time around now, and it's even more obvious and more funny. Yeah. Anyway, Tip of the day. All right. Well, I think we're doing pretty well. We'll check back in at the end of the year, and we'll run a webinar on this and just see officially how we went on our predictions. And thanks, Pete, for joining me today.
Thanks, Danni. Always fun.